The child was playing near the silver trees when the sky broke open. A blue light cut through the clouds like a burning scar. The ground shook. Birds screamed and flew away. The human colony on the moon of Lisa 9 had never seen a ship like this before. It was dark, sharp, and covered in glowing symbols. The child did not run. He stood still, holding a small metal toy in his hand. His name was Eli. He was 7 years old. His parents were inside the shelter, fixing a broken water pipe. They never saw the ship land. From the alien vessel, 3 figures stepped out. Their bodies were tall and thin. Their eyes shone like cold glass. Their armor moved like liquid metal. One of them pointed at the child. "A single human juvenile," it said in a harsh voice. "No threat detected." Another alien scanned Eli with a beam of light. Weak bone structure. Small muscles. Low combat value. Eli stared at them. His hands began to shake. Who are you?" he whispered. The aliens did not answer in a way he could understand. They moved closer. One reached down and grabbed his arm. Eli screamed, "Let me go, Mama." The third alien tilted its head. Subject shows emotional response. Interesting. They lifted him into the air as if he weighed nothing. Eli kicked and cried. His toy fell to the ground and rolled into the dust. Inside the colony shelter, a warning alarm suddenly blared. Red lights flashed. A woman looked up from her tools. "What is that sound?" Another voice shouted, "Unknown ship outside." Eli's father ran to the door. Through the small window, he saw the blue light and his son being carried away. "No!" he screamed and hit the door panel. "Eli." The alien ship rose into the sky. Wind knocked people to the ground. Then it vanished into space. Silence followed. Only Eli's toy remained on the cold soil. Hours later, deep in space, the child sat inside a clear chamber. Soft lights glowed around him. Strange machines floated and hummed. Eli pressed his hands against the glass. His face was wet with tears. "I want to go home," he said in a broken voice. An alien scientist watched him from behind a wall of light. "The human child displays fear," it said. "Good. Fear improves test results." Another voice replied, "Begin basic scans. We will learn how humans survive harsh worlds." Eli felt a cold needle touch his arm. He cried out, "Stop, please." No one listened. On the colony, survivors sent a desperate signal into space. "Human child taken by unknown force. Repeat. Child taken. Please respond." The message traveled across stars. It reached Earth in less than an hour. In a dark command room, screens lit up. Officers stood in silence. A woman in a black uniform read the report. "A child?" she said softly. A man beside her clenched his fist. "They took a child." The room filled with quiet breathing. No one spoke for several seconds. Then the woman pressed a button. "Send priority code to all fleets." A young officer hesitated. "Ma'am, that code has not been used in centuries." Her eyes were hard. "Use it." Across Earth and its hidden bases, ancient systems came alive. Old satellites turned. Locked doors opened. Deep under mountains and oceans, machines began to wake. In a far underground hall, a massive wall glowed with symbols of human history, wars, losses, and promises. A voice echoed through the chamber. "Reason for awakening?" The woman's voice answered, calm but filled with fire. "A human child has been taken." The chamber trembled. "Threat level?" "Unknown." The voice paused. Then it said, "Threat accepted." In space, Eli curled into a corner of the chamber. He hugged his knees and whispered his mother's name again and again. One alien watched him closely. "Why does this unit produce liquid from its eyes?" Another replied, "It is called crying. A sign of weakness." Suddenly, every light in the alien ship flickered. Warning sounds filled the halls. "What is happening?" one alien asked. A screen showed strange signals rising from deep space. "Human transmission detected," the ship computer said. The lead alien stared at the data. "They respond too fast." Far away, countless human ships changed direction at once. They did not rush in anger. They moved in silence, like a storm forming beyond sight. On Earth, the woman stood before the glowing wall. "No harm must come to him," she said. "Bring him back." The ancient system replied, "Humanity remembers its children." In the dark of space, something old and powerful had opened its eyes. And the galaxy had no idea what it had just awakened. The research station floated above a dead gray planet, far from human space. It was silent and cold, built from black metal and sharp lines. Inside, the child was locked in a white room made of glass and light. Eli sat on the floor with his back against the wall. His hands were tied with a glowing band that felt warm but strong. He could see stars through the window, but none of them looked like home. "I want my mom," he whispered. No one answered. Outside the room, 3 aliens watched him through a clear screen. Their eyes moved without blinking. "The subject is secure," one said. "Begin deeper tests." Another touched a floating panel. Machines around the room started to hum. Thin beams of light scanned Eli's body. The air felt heavy. Eli closed his eyes and shook. "Please don't hurt me," he said. His voice was small. The machine suddenly stopped. All the lights flickered. A sharp sound ran through the station like metal crying. "What was that?" one alien asked. Before the other could answer, the main screen went dark. Warning symbols appeared in red. "System delay detected," the station voice said. "Unknown error." The aliens looked at each other. "This station has no flaws," the leader said. "Restart the power grid." Another alien pressed commands. Nothing happened. In the child's room, the glowing band on Eli's hands turned off. It fell to the floor with a soft click. Eli stared at it in shock. I can move," he said. He stood slowly, afraid the lights would turn back on. But the room stayed quiet. In the hallway, doors began to open by themselves. Long corridors filled with shadows. Cold air rushed through broken vents. "Security weapons online," one alien ordered. A wall opened, revealing black rifles floating in place. They aimed toward the child's room. "Target locked," the station voice said. Then the rifles shut down and dropped to the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. Fear moved through the station. "This is impossible," another alien whispered. "Our weapons never fail." Suddenly, every screen showed the same image. Deep space. Something was coming. It looked like a single human ship, small and bright, moving faster than light itself. It did not follow normal paths. It appeared, vanished, and appeared again closer each second. "No fleet signal detected," an alien said. "Only one vessel." The leader leaned forward. "One ship cannot threaten a station." But his voice was not steady. In the child's room, Eli felt the floor shake. He fell to his knees. "What's happening?" he cried. A soft voice filled the room. It did not sound like the station. It sounded warm. "Eli, do not be afraid." He looked around. "Who said that?" "It is us," the voice answered. "Humans are near." His eyes filled with tears. Are they coming for me?" "Yes," the voice said. "Hold on." Outside, alarms screamed. Walls cracked with light. Power failed in half the station. Gravity shifted, throwing aliens against metal rails. "What kind of ship moves like this?" one alien shouted. The human vessel stopped just outside the station. It was smooth and silver with no weapons visible. Yet space itself bent around it. A new signal entered the station. "This is a human rescue craft," a calm voice said. "Release the child." The leader laughed nervously. "You come with one ship? Leave or be destroyed." The human voice did not change. "Your weapons are already gone." The alien tried to fire a cannon. Nothing happened. He slammed his claw on the control panel. "Why will nothing work?" The human voice answered, "Because you touched what was protected." A bright line of light crossed space and cut through the station's outer shell without heat or sound. Doors opened like flowers. Inside, the path to the child's room cleared. Eli saw the glass wall fade away. Fresh air touched his face. A human in a dark suit walked toward him. The helmet opened, showing a woman with tired eyes and a gentle smile. "Hi, Eli," she said softly. "I'm here." He ran to her and held her legs. "I was scared," he cried. She knelt and held him tight. "I know. You are safe now." Behind her, the aliens watched in silence. None of them moved. The leader spoke slowly. "You disabled an entire station, with one ship." The woman stood and faced them. "You should not have taken him." The station trembled again. More systems shut down. The stars outside seemed to grow darker. "What are humans?" an alien whispered. The woman answered, "We are not simple." She carried Eli into the silver ship. The door closed behind them. The human vessel vanished in a flash of white light. The station floated broken and quiet in space. Across nearby star systems, news spread fast. A single human ship had entered forbidden space and left without battle. Empires began to whisper one sentence in fear. They came for their child. And the galaxy started to understand that humans were not weak. They were awake. The human ship did not fire a single weapon. It floated in the center of 3-star systems, silent and bright like a new star. Around it, hundreds of alien warships waited in attack formation. Their guns were charged. Their commanders expected a battle. Instead, a signal spread through space. It was not sound. It was not light. It moved like a wave through metal and energy at the same time. Every alien screen turned white, then black. Engines died. Weapons went cold. Shields fell apart like dust. Across 3 systems, fleets stopped moving. Inside the largest command ship, alarms screamed. "What is happening?" a commander shouted. "We are losing power," another cried. "Navigation is dead." A third voice trembled. All fleets are frozen." The commanders looked at each other in fear. "This is not an attack," one whispered. "This is control." A human message appeared on every broken screen. "We do not come to destroy. We come to remind." In a distant chamber deep inside human space, ancient machines glowed with slow blue light. Tall figures stood in a circle, humans wearing symbols of old wars on their uniforms. One of them spoke with a quiet voice. "The signal has reached the outer systems." Another asked, "Did they resist?" "No," a woman replied. "They cannot." She closed her eyes for a moment. "We hoped this day would never come." Far away, inside an alien capital station, leaders gathered in panic. Their city floated above a burning sun. The room was filled with fear and noise. "Our fleets are blind," one leader shouted. "How can one species do this?" another demanded. An elder alien slowly rose from his seat. His skin was pale with age. His voice was heavy with memory. "Because humans remember the old wars," he said. The room fell silent. "Old wars?" a younger leader asked. The elder looked at the dark ceiling. "Before most of our empires were born, humans fought enemies that could erase stars. They survived by learning things no species should know." "What things?" someone whispered. "Forbidden knowledge," the elder said. "Power hidden behind mercy." He touched a symbol on the table. Ancient images appeared, burned worlds, broken suns, and human ships standing alone in fire. "They made laws to lock this power away," he continued. "One rule above all others: never harm their young." A voice shouted, "But we did not kill the child." "You touched him," the elder answered. "That is enough." In space, the human ship sent another message. "You have seen what we can do without violence. Do not force us to remember how to do more." On one disabled alien ship, a young officer stared at the dark stars. "We are helpless," she said. "What if they decide to end us?" Her captain lowered his head. "They could already have done it." The human signal changed again. This time, it entered minds as words, clear and calm. "We choose restraint. This is your warning." Fear spread through alien worlds. Cities shut down. Trade stopped. No one knew if the next wave would be stronger. On Earth, leaders watched the stars in silence. A man spoke softly. "We crossed the line we swore never to cross." A woman answered, "They crossed it first." "But the power," he said. "Once shown, it can never be unseen." She looked at a picture on the wall, a human child smiling. "They took one of ours. We answered without killing. That is still mercy." In alien space, a commander fell to his knees in front of a dark screen. "What are humans?" he whispered. A broken voice replied from the shadows, "They are the ones who ended wars by choosing not to." The elder alien was taken into a private chamber. A guard asked him, "Will they destroy us?" The elder shook his head slowly. "No. That is what makes them more frightening. They could end everything, and they choose not to." Another signal spread across space. "All fleets will be restored in one cycle," the human voice said. "Remember this moment." Power slowly returned. Ships began to move again. Weapons came back online, but no one dared to aim them. Across 3-star systems, captains ordered retreat. "Pull back," they said. "Do not provoke them." On distant worlds, people watched the sky and felt small. A child on one alien planet asked her mother, "Why are the stars quiet?" The mother answered, "Because humans are watching." Deep within the human ship, Eli slept in a safe room. A soft blanket covered him. A woman sat beside him and held his hand. "He will dream of home," she whispered. Outside, the silver vessel turned slowly and vanished into light. Behind it, an entire region of space remained still, as if afraid to breathe. The universe had learned a new truth that day. Humans did not rule by fear. They ruled by the promise that if their mercy was broken, the old power would return. And no one wanted to see that power awaken again. The galaxy did not wait for battle. Across 3-star systems, massive cities emptied as their leaders fled in panic. Spaceports that had never closed shut their gates. Ships in orbit powered down, floating like dead fish. Entire trade convoys slowed to a stop, drifting helplessly among the stars. News spread faster than any signal. The human child Eli had been taken and returned. That simple fact alone shattered empires. On the capital world of Zorith, the ruling council gathered in a crystal hall. Their domed ceiling reflected the flickering lights of distant fires below. The room was tense. No one spoke at first. Then a minister whispered, trembling, They got the child back? Yes, the chancellor replied, voice barely audible. And the human who retrieved him, she commanded our fleets without firing a shot. A young envoy pressed his hands to the table. But, how is that possible? Every defense system we have is flawless. Our weapons, our shields, nothing should stop us. The chancellor shook his head. Humans do not fight the way we understand. They obey a rule far older than any of our empires: protect your young. And the galaxy now knows, breaking that rule brings consequences no one can resist. Across a smaller world, traders stared at their terminals, frozen in fear. Screens that tracked supply chains displayed warning signs in red. Ships from distant colonies slowed to a stop in orbit. One trader whispered to his assistant, voice shaking, Do you see this? We cannot move, not a single vessel responds. The assistant swallowed hard. It's the humans. Their name alone, it's enough. Meanwhile, Eli was aboard a human cruiser, safe and unharmed. He sat in a soft-lit chamber, his small hands gripping a worn blanket. His eyes, wide and tired, reflected the silver walls. A woman in a dark uniform crouched beside him, brushing a strand of hair from his face. You're safe now, she said, voice gentle but firm. No one can touch you again. Eli blinked slowly, still processing the chaos. They took me, he whispered. And they were so scary. The woman nodded. I know. But you were never alone. You have humans watching over you, and we do not forget. No one hurts a child we protect. In distant space, alien commanders watched their empires crumble. Panic filled every control room. One captain slammed his fist against the console. Our planets are surrendering just from the sound of their name. How is this happening? Because humans are loyal, another officer said, voice trembling. Not just to themselves, to each other. That loyalty, it is stronger than any fleet, stronger than any weapon. And it cannot be broken. In a remote palace on a desert world, the emperor stared at the sky through wide glass panels. He saw the glint of human ships streaking silently between the stars. His advisors crouched behind him, fear written across their faces. They did not attack, he said slowly. Not a single bomb. Not a single shot. But they are victorious, an advisor replied. Entire colonies are surrendering. Trade routes collapsed. Systems are powerless. The emperor's lips pressed together. It is not their weapons we should fear, it is their loyalty. That cannot be undone. Across the galaxy, soldiers and workers alike felt it. The name Eli traveled faster than fleets. Across marketplaces, spaceports, and even remote mining colonies, whispers carried the same warning: humans will protect their children. Every ear that heard it understood the same truth. Back on the human ship, Eli was finally allowed to stand. The woman took his hand and led him to a small viewing deck. Through thick glass, he could see countless alien worlds, each flickering with silent lights and frozen ships. He pressed his small face to the glass. They're all scared? He asked. Yes, the woman said softly. They learned that nothing threatens a child we protect. Not weapons, not fleets, not empires. Humans do not need to fight to win. Eli turned to her, eyes wide. So, I was safe all along? Always, she said, kneeling to hug him. That is the rule of humanity. We do not abandon the young. For miles across space, the effect was undeniable. Planets that had once plotted war against humans surrendered before a single human set foot on them. Star systems that had hoarded fleets for centuries bowed silently to the unspoken command: do not harm a child. In a command center orbiting a dying sun, an alien commander closed his eyes. His ship trembled as a nearby station shut down completely. He whispered, voice breaking, their loyalty, it is stronger than everything we built. Another officer shook his head. We have nothing to fight with, and no one dares defy them. In the quiet of the human ship, Eli finally smiled. The stars outside seemed brighter, calmer, and full of promise. He did not yet understand the full weight of what had happened. He only knew he was safe and humans would stop at nothing to keep him that way. The galaxy, however, understood far more. Across billions of miles, the message was clear: humanity protects its children. Loyalty to one of its own surpasses fear, power, and death itself. And every civilization, from the smallest colony to the largest empire, now feared not human weapons, but human devotion. Even the oldest empires whispered the same name with caution: Eli. And with that, the universe learned that a child could command more power than any fleet. The galaxy was quiet, but it was not calm. The stars seemed to hold their breath as ships moved slowly across silent space. Everywhere, the echoes of what had happened were felt, and nothing would ever be the same. On the ruins of the first research station, orbiting the gray planet where Eli had been held, construction beams rose like fingers of light. Humans and allied species worked side by side, shaping the remains into a monument. Towers of silver metal spiraled into the sky, engraved with the name of the child whose capture had shaken the galaxy. Workers paused frequently, looking at the small room where he had sat, and whispered among themselves. "He survived," a young engineer said, eyes wide with awe. "He was unharmed, and they feared him without even knowing it." An older woman nodded, voice heavy with pride. "It was never about him being strong. It was about us protecting what is ours. That is humanity's power." Far across the systems, diplomats and leaders gathered in a neutral station that had survived the crises unscathed. Their chambers were filled with tension, and their faces showed the strain of fear still fresh in their minds. They signed the new interstellar law, one line at the center of their treaties that all species would remember forever: no being may harm a human child. A diplomat from a water world leaned forward, voice shaking. "This law, does it really carry the weight it seems to? Humans have already shown they can enforce it." A human ambassador nodded calmly. "We do not need weapons to enforce this. All we need is the promise that any attack on one of ours will be answered. That promise is enough to hold the galaxy in check." On one frozen moon, traders and smugglers whispered in dark corridors. "Have you heard?" one asked another. "The humans are making law now. Anyone who touches a child, even accidentally, could face the end of their world." A veteran smuggler shivered. "I never thought a child could control the galaxy." Back on the human ship, Eli watched the stars through a clear dome. The small boy had grown in silence over the past weeks, but the woman who had rescued him sat nearby, observing quietly. His eyes were full of wonder and fear. "They are making a law, for me?" he asked. His voice was small but curious. The woman smiled softly. "Yes, Eli. For you and for every human child in the galaxy. No one will ever dare harm you. That is the promise we have made." He frowned slightly, still trying to understand. "But, what if someone forgets?" "They will not forget," she said. "Monuments will stand where they tried to hurt you. Every star system will remember. Humanity never forgets." The child nodded slowly. He turned back to the window, seeing worlds that had trembled under fear and awe. "So, I'm safe." "Always," she said, placing a hand on his small shoulder. "And not just you. Every child will be safe because the galaxy has learned the price of breaking that trust." Meanwhile, alien leaders convened in a distant council chamber. The air was thick with tension. One elder pressed his claws to the table, voice hoarse. "We have signed the law, but does it truly bind humans?" A younger officer shivered. "It binds us because they have shown the consequences. Entire fleets frozen, empires surrendering, all for one child. How can any of us ignore that?" Another whispered, eyes wide. "We underestimated them. Not their weapons, their loyalty. That is what terrifies me." In space above a desert planet, a monument had been completed. Its towers reflected the light of a dying sun. At the base, an inscription read, "Here the first warning was given. Here humanity's promise became law. Let no hand ever harm a child of ours." Pilgrims from multiple worlds came to see it, some trembling, some in awe. Parents held their young close, knowing this law was a shield stronger than any fleet. A small alien child asked her mother, voice soft, "Why are they building this for a human child?" Her mother hugged her. "Because humans teach the galaxy what loyalty truly means. They protect what is theirs and no one forgets that lesson." Even in the farthest reaches, whispers of humanity's actions spread. Merchants, soldiers, and wanderers spoke the same name, Eli. It was no longer just a child's name, it was a symbol. A warning. A promise. On the human ship, Eli finally smiled. He held a small star-shaped charm given to him by the woman who had saved him. It feels like, they will remember me forever, he said quietly. Yes, she said, her eyes glinting with pride. They will. And through you they will remember all humans. Not because we destroy, but because we keep our word. The ship left orbit and below the monuments gleamed like beacons. Planets that had once feared war now looked to the sky with a new respect. Systems that had plotted conquest now plotted peace. And the galaxy learned, in the deepest way possible, that humanity's greatest weapon was never fire or death. It was the promise that anyone who harmed one of theirs would face the full force of their loyalty. And somewhere deep in the stars Eli's laughter echoed lightly, carried by the windless void. The universe had been taught a lesson it would never forget.